Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone. Authorities in the English county of Lancashire say that a 27-year-old mother and a 26-year-old man have been charged this week, days after a male model was found dying in the streets earlier this month. Police say 37-year-old Luke Harden was discovered by officers on patrol lying on the pavement along New Church Road in the town of Bacup just after 12:30 a.m. on November 1st. Despite paramedics' best efforts to save him, Luke was pronounced dead at the scene. A post-mortem examination was conducted the following day, but so far Luke's cause of death remains unconfirmed. Following an investigation, two people, 27-year-old Natalie Chadwick and 26-year-old Zimbabwean national Bekasani Matabaswana, were arrested and charged with murder. Both suspects also live in Bacup. During a brief court hearing on November 5th, Chadwick and Matabaswana spoke only to confirm their names. Members of both families attended the hearing, with police officers also present in the public gallery. While their trial date was set for April 2026, much of the circumstances surrounding the crime and its motive remain unclear. Police are now asking for the public's help, continuing to appeal for witnesses and requesting any available video footage taken in the area between 11:45 p.m. and 12:35 a.m. on November 1st. Investigators are also seeking anyone who was inside the Rosemount Working Men's Club on the night of the killing to come forward. In a statement, Lancashire Police said, quote, "Although two people have been charged, we are still asking for anyone who has information or footage from the area to contact us as soon as possible." Luke's family released a tribute describing their heartbreak over his death, stating in part, quote, "There are no words to describe how devastated we all are. We wish our Luke could see the outpouring of love from everyone who knows him. He is and will always be special to us all, as a son, brother, grandson, nephew, cousin, uncle, boyfriend, and friend. You will be forever in our hearts and minds, and we are comforted knowing we can shut our eyes and your beautiful face will always be smiling back at us. Rest in peace, our gorgeous Luke, until we meet again. The investigation remains ongoing." Authorities in the Indian Capital Territory of Delhi say that a man who allegedly killed his wife and faked his own death to evade capture has finally been arrested, bringing closure to a more than 15-year-long murder investigation. The accused, 40-year-old Narottam Prasad, was taken into custody by Delhi police on Wednesday, November 5th, after an investigative team tracked him down to a cotton factory in the state of Gujarat, where he'd been working under a fake identity. Prasad, who was originally from Rajasthan, was accused of murdering his 25-year-old wife Kamlesh all the way back in the spring of 2010, a crime that he allegedly tried to stage to make it look like he and his wife had both taken their own lives. According to local media, the case began on May 31st, 2010, when residents in Delhi's Jahangapuri neighborhood reported a foul smell coming from a locked house. Officers forced entry and discovered the decomposing body of a young woman lying on the floor. A handwritten note, signed by Prasad, was found nearby. The note claimed that Prasad and Kamlesh had both decided to end their lives. It stated that Kamlesh had done so first, but that Prasad was going to make it so that no one would ever find his body. After taking a closer look at the scene, though, and conducting searches, police began to doubt this. Instead, they concluded that Kamlesh had been murdered and that Prasad had likely gone on the run. However, finding him proved to be easier said than done. For years, detectives hit nothing but dead ends, though they were convinced Prasad was alive thanks to sporadic tips. In 2013, he was officially declared a fugitive, and a 10,000 rupee reward, or about $112 US, was issued for information leading to his capture. The breakthrough finally came this month when officers learned that Prasad had resurfaced in Gujarat. Acting on a tip, police placed his family's phones under surveillance and confirmed that he had recently started contacting them again after remarrying. A team was dispatched to the city of Vadodara, where he was arrested without incident. During interrogation, Prasad allegedly confessed to strangling his wife in a fit of rage after a domestic dispute over money. He admitted to fleeing Delhi immediately after the killing and moving between cities in Gujarat to avoid detection. A detective on the case told reporters this week, quote, "He was hiding for years, completely cut off from his family, and had taken up work as a factory manager. He even remarried under a false identity, claiming to be a divorcee. The Delhi police transported Prashad back to the capital, where legal proceedings have begun. Officials say the arrest brings long-awaited relief to Kamlesh's family, who has waited 15 years for justice. Police credited the case's resolution to persistence and modern surveillance tools, with one officer putting it this way, quote, "He thought he had escaped for good, but no one can hide forever." Authorities in the South Korean capital of Seoul say that a man in his 60s has been arrested and is facing charges following a disturbing stabbing attack inside his former office last week, a crime that left one person dead and 2 others seriously injured. Police identified the suspect only by the last name of Cho. They said that he was arrested Tuesday, November 4th, after attacking 2 women and 1 man inside the office of a redevelopment cooperative in Seoul's Gangdong district. Cho had served as the cooperative's chief before being dismissed in July following an investigation into claims that he had sexually assaulted a female coworker. He was later indicted in that case, and investigators say they believe he may have held a grudge against his former colleagues. According to police, Cho entered the office armed with a knife and stabbed 2 women in their 50s and 60s, as well as a man in his 70s. All 3 victims suffered severe neck wounds. One of the women, the victim in her 50s, later died at a nearby hospital. The other 2 victims also suffered serious injuries, though are expected to survive. Police initially charged Cho with attempted murder, but following the woman's death, upgraded the charges to murder. They are also considering adding a charge of retaliatory murder, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years in prison under South Korean law. Investigators say Cho's motive may have stemmed from anger and humiliation over his dismissal. In a statement this week, a police spokesperson said in part, quote, "We are continuing to investigate whether the attack was premeditated and connected to the suspect's firing." At the same time, authorities credited 2 Good Samaritans for helping officers detain Cho at the scene, adding that both would be formally commended for their assistance. Police said that the investigation remains ongoing as they review surveillance footage and question additional witnesses. Authorities in northern Argentina say that they have arrested a man after the body of a 17-year-old girl was discovered in an open field over the weekend, a crime that authorities believe may have been a case of gender-based violence. The victim, identified as Emilce Camila Barrera, was found partially unclothed with signs of a violent assault near National Route 157 in the city of Frías on the morning of November 9th. Her body was discovered by a 63-year-old man who immediately alerted authorities, prompting a large-scale police response and forensic investigation. According to police sources, Emilce's body showed bruising to her face and neck, along with traces of blood around her nose. There were no indications of robbery, and investigators believe she suffered a blow to the head before being further beaten and possibly strangled. Prosecutors confirmed that a man identified as Raul P. has been taken into custody. He reportedly admitted to having met Emilce shortly before her death and made a chilling statement during questioning, allegedly telling police, quote, "I lost control." Investigators revealed that Raul had previously been jailed following a complaint filed by Emilce for gender-based violence. He remains the primary suspect, though officials have not ruled out the involvement of others. Police sources said 2 additional people, a man and a woman, may have had contact with the teen prior to her death. During raids in several neighborhoods in the surrounding area, officers seized cell phones and other items believed to be linked to the case. Authorities are now reviewing security camera footage, phone records, and social media activity to reconstruct Emilce's final hours. Local reports suggest Emilce may have attended a private party before her death, where investigators suspect there may have been drugs and sex workers. 2 individuals connected to the location, including the homeowner, have reportedly been questioned. While autopsy results are still pending, investigators say early findings indicate Emilce died from blunt force trauma combined with signs of strangulation. Prosecutors initially classified the case as a homicide, though stated it will likely be upgraded to femicide as evidence develops, with a judicial source telling local media, quote, "The brutality of the attack and the victim's prior history with the suspect makes this case especially grave." The investigation continues. Authorities in Japan's Chiba prefecture say that a 32-year-old woman has been accused of murder this week, more than a month after her Nepalese boyfriend was found dead under extremely suspicious circumstances inside a love hotel. The whole thing began on the morning of October 5th, when police were called to the love hotel in question in Funabashi city. The call came in around 8:05 a.m. and was made by the suspect, 32-year-old Mami Asaka. She told emergency dispatchers, quote, "A man is unconscious and not breathing. He is bleeding after stabbing himself in the chest with a knife." When officers and paramedics arrived, they found the victim, 21-year-old Chantal Badal, lying face down near a door in one of the rooms there, covered in blood. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Asaka, who was still inside the room, was taken into custody. Police initially arrested the 32-year-old woman for theft after learning she had stolen 2 knives from a store in Chiba City a couple of days earlier. One of those knives was allegedly used to kill Chantal. However, when Asaka was asked about this, she claimed that it was part of a pact she and her boyfriend made to end their own lives. She told officers, quote, "I wanted to die with my boyfriend, and since I was going to die anyway, I might as well steal." However, the more authorities looked into the situation, the less Asaka's story added up. The case was officially reclassified as a murder near the end of October, and the 32-year-old is now accused of the crime. While not much has been officially confirmed this time, Chantal's brother has spoken to Japanese media, telling them he believes Asaka committed the murder because Chantal was trying to end their relationship. The brother told reporters that he and Chantal were both originally from Nepal, but had moved to Japan for better opportunities in 2024. Chantal was particularly enthusiastic about their new life in Japan and had been studying the Japanese language and attending a vocational school ever since arriving there. He said that more than anything, Chantal loved anime and was hoping to one day get into the industry as part of his career. The brother stated in part, quote, "My younger brother really loved Japan. He loved anime and wanted to work in Japan to buy a house for our parents. He was very sincere and hardworking." The brother went on to say that Chantal met Asaka while working at a factory in Narashino City. At first, they got along well, but recently things had changed, with him telling reporters, quote, "He had told me that he wanted to break up with her. He said she was crying when he told her over the phone, but he still wanted to meet her one last time to talk." That meeting was supposed to take place on the evening of October 4th. By the next morning, Chantal was dead. The heartbroken brother stated, quote, "After the autopsy, I saw his face. His body was covered in wounds, around 10 in all. While some of the wounds indicated that Chantal had tried to defend himself, it seems that he may have been vulnerable at the time of the alleged attack. At least 8 cans of a strong alcoholic beverage were found at the crime scene, and his brother claims he never would have drank that much himself since he had a low tolerance for alcohol. Police say they now believe Asaka murdered Chantal sometime between 4:35 a.m. and 8 a.m. on October 5th, inside the Love Hotel room. However, they are still investigating the full circumstances and are having to do so without Asaka's cooperation because she has refused to speak to them since being accused of murder. In the meantime, Chantal's brother says he just wants to know the truth, telling the media, quote, "My brother didn't deserve to die this way." Authorities on the Indonesian island of Sumatra released new details in a wince-inducing case this week after a woman allegedly cut off her lover's genitals after becoming angry and jealous after he bought a large gift for his wife. Authorities say the suspect, 28-year-old Windy Cynthia, had been in a relationship with the victim, 32-year-old Karselan Utami, since sometime in early 2019. Later that same year, Karselan married another woman. However, the two of them kept seeing each other, and Windy was reportedly fully aware of the marriage. However, things took a gruesome turn on October 19th, when Karselan and Windy met up for what seemed like one of their normal rendezvous. Local media sources seem to contradict each other as to where this actually took place, with some saying it was a hotel and others saying it was a secluded field. But what we do know is what happened next. According to police, at some point during the romantic encounter, Windy pulled out a utility knife that she had brought with her and was hiding. She then proceeded to grab Karselan's still excited member, and she sliced it off. Local media reports state that Karselan was spotted moments later running out into the street, screaming and covered in blood. He was taken to a nearby hospital where surgeons were apparently able to reattach his severed genitals. Wendy was arrested shortly after, and while she told authorities that she did what she did because she could no longer stand Carcelan's womanizing, and that he was actually cheating with a number of other women as well, police say there's more to the story. According to investigators, Wendy was perfectly fine with Carcelan's infidelity for the longest time because he was supporting her financially. For years, he had been giving her 200,000 rupiah a week, the equivalent of about $12 US. However, recently the payments had gotten smaller. That's when Wendy went online and saw Carcelan's wife showing off a brand new motorcycle. Police have suggested this is what actually pushed her over the edge. In a confession during a press conference on October 22nd, Wendy had this to say, quote, "I felt a little regret for what I did, but mostly satisfaction. I'm finally satisfied. Because of this man, I was angry, disappointed, and heartbroken. While I was with him, he often hurt and lied to me. He was with many other women, and even after getting married, he still came to me. Our relationship was like husband and wife, but he kept lying and cheating. I was angry and disappointed." The whole bizarre incident comes on the heels of another very similar crime that happened in Indonesia back in July. In that case, a woman allegedly cut off her husband's genitals while he was asleep in bed after discovering messages that she didn't like on his phone. In that situation, though, the victim was not as lucky as Carcelan. He ended up dying in a hospital from his injuries 23 days later. At the time of this recording, Wendy Cynthia remains in custody and has been charged with premeditated assault resulting in serious physical injury. If convicted, she is looking at a maximum sentence of up to 7 years in prison. Authorities in Malaysia say that a popular rapper has been detained in connection with the death of a Taiwanese influencer after she was found dead in a hotel room under mysterious circumstances late last month. The whole thing started at around 1:40 p.m. on October 22nd when emergency responders were called to a hotel in the Malaysian capital of Kuala Lumpur. They arrived to find a woman, later identified as 31-year-old Xie Yusin, unresponsive inside the bathtub of the room where she was staying. Police say the tub was not filled with water at the time, though the 31-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene. Yusin, who went by the name Iris, was from Taiwan and earned a living as a social media influencer. The 31-year-old former nurse was known as Nurse Goddess online and had more than 547,000 followers on Instagram. She also operated an OnlyFans account. According to local media, Iris had arrived in Malaysia on October 20th and was scheduled to stay in the country for 4 days. And while her case was initially classified as a sudden death, that eventually changed. Authorities now say that they are investigating Iris's death as a murder, citing unspecified new evidence. That's not all police have said, though. This week, they announced that 42-year-old Wee Meng Chi, better known by his artist name Namewee, had been detained in connection with the investigation. Authorities say that Namewee was the last person seen with Iris before her death, and was in the hotel room with her at the time. The 42-year-old was actually taken into custody on the day of the incident. However, that was for alleged possession and use of illegal drugs. Ecstasy pills were reportedly recovered from his belongings, and he later tested positive for amphetamines, ketamine, and THC. Despite this, he denied using any drugs and was released on bail on October 24th after pleading not guilty. After Iris's death was reclassified to a murder investigation, though, authorities were eager to speak with Namewee again. The cause of death has not been released, and authorities said that they are waiting for a full post-mortem and toxicology results, but they are treating the situation as a crime. For several days, Namewee's whereabouts were unknown, until November 5th, when he turned himself in to authorities. Police had told local media they believe the rapper was in hiding, though his lawyer has disputed this, stating that Namewee has been cooperative since the beginning. In a translated statement posted to Instagram, Namewee said that he was deeply sorry about Iris's death, but denied any wrongdoing, writing, quote, "The truth will be out when the police report is released." His lawyer says that the rapper remains in good spirits and maintains his innocence in relation to Iris's death. While the investigation remains ongoing, and obviously very little is currently available, there is another element to all of this that's worth pointing out. And that's the fact that Namewee has previously been targeted by authorities due to his work as a musician. The 42-year-old has become known in Malaysia and internationally for his provocative and politically outspoken music. This has caused him to be arrested several times, mostly for songs and music videos that officials claim insulted religious or national institutions. For instance, in 2007, he was criticized for mocking Malaysia's national anthem in a parody video. In 2016, he was detained after releasing a music video titled "Oh My God," filmed at religious sites, which sparked outrage from some Islamic groups. And in 2021, his song "Fragile," which satirized many Chinese social issues, was removed from all Chinese music streaming platforms and also led to him being banned from the country. Namewee, however, has long defended his work as social satire meant to highlight hypocrisy and promote tolerance. Iris's death, meanwhile, has drawn widespread attention in both Taiwan and Malaysia, where fans continue to post tributes online. At the time of this recording, Namewee remains under police supervision as investigations continue. His remand period was extended after he was taken into custody, though so far he has not been charged with any crimes related to Iris's alleged murder. More than 3 decades after a young Australian mother was found dead inside her home, police say they have finally solved her murder and have now charged her husband with the cold case killing. 26-year-old Melinda Freeman was discovered brutally beaten in the upstairs hallway of her home in the town of Whittlesea, about 25 miles northeast of Melbourne, on October 4th, 1991. Police were alerted after her husband, Craig Freeman, called 000 and said he had returned home late that night to find the house ransacked and his wife dead. When investigators arrived, they quickly concluded that Melinda had suffered a violent assault before her death. Based on the state of the home, it looked like the killing might have been a robbery gone wrong. The murder shocked the quiet Whittlesea community. On the day of her death, Melinda and her husband had attended a family reunion to welcome her sister home from overseas. The couple returned around 4 p.m., and later that evening, Freeman said he left with their infant son and went to a friend's place so his wife could study for school. When he returned around 11:30 p.m., he told police he found the back door unlocked and the front door open before discovering Melinda's body on the upstairs landing. For decades, detectives struggled to solve the case, which has long haunted Melinda's grieving family. However, on October 29th, just weeks after the 34th anniversary of the crime, police arrested a now 63-year-old Craig Freeman at his home in Greensboro and charged him with the murder. Appearing via video link from a nearby police station, Freeman, who now works as a gardener but was formerly a male stripper, made no application for bail. The court heard he had previously suffered a stroke and required ongoing medication while in custody. While the details of exactly how police cracked the case after all these years have not been released, it seems that Craig Freeman's arrest didn't exactly come out of nowhere. Authorities say he's long been a person of interest in the case. A 1997 coroner's inquest revealed Freeman had been having an affair with one of Melinda's close friends at the time of her murder. Despite family suspicions, though, the coroner delivered an open finding, citing insufficient evidence to link him to the crime. In 2018, police received new anonymous information about the case. 4 years later, in 2022, they announced a reward of 1 million Australian dollars, or about $650,000 US, for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Homicide Squad Detective Inspector Dean Thomas said at the time the reward was announced that Melinda's family deserved answers, telling the public, quote, "As much as this is about holding those responsible to account, Melinda's family deserves an answer as to why this happened. Her young son has had to grow up without his mother and live with that loss every day." Detectives said this week that the tip and renewed public interest were key in advancing the investigation. They also clarified that they now believe Craig Freeman staged the 1991 crime scene to make it look like a robbery. Melinda's family, who have made several public appeals over the years, expressed relief that charges have finally been laid. Friends describe Melinda as a devoted mother and a kind, loving woman who dreamed of a career in the beauty industry. At the time of this recording, Craig Freeman remains in custody as the case proceeds. Hey there. Before you take off, we'd just like to take a second and say that we really appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. Luke and I are so grateful for our incredible Crime Zone community, so thank you for being a part of it. If you want to help Crime Zone continue to grow, one of the easiest things you can do is leave a like on this video and consider subscribing. Be sure to hit that notification bell as well and select all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to support the channel, there are a couple of options. We've got a thriving community over on Patreon, where you can get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. Head over to patreon.com/crimezone to learn more and to meet some of the awesome people whose names are currently on screen. If that isn't your thing, we've also now launched channel memberships so you can join directly here on YouTube. Channel members get a lot of the same perks as on Patreon, including extra content, without the added hassle of having to go off-platform. Now, that being said, we know times are tough and that not everyone is able to support financially. Regardless of your situation though, we want you to know that we truly appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much, and we hope to see you soon.